Attraction, overeating, shame, overcompensation. Do you feel ashamed after you binge? There's a common cycle for any addiction. It amounts to two basic things: binge and purge. You start by indulging and letting yourself go beyond any normal level of restraint. Then you swear never to do it again and go to the other extreme of avoiding the substance completely. That is, until your extreme restraint breaks down and you let yourself go fully for another binge. This is the cycle of addiction. It doesn't matter if it's food, drugs, or any other substance or experience. It's a mindset of all or nothing, with hard corrective measures followed by uncontrollable indulgence. Imagine trying to drive a car like that. If you were to take the same approach when driving, it would look like this. Anytime the car got near to the edge of the lane, you would overcorrect hard to bring it back. It's like you would be zigzagging back and forth, in the lane, out of the lane, to this edge, back to that edge, and it's not a very smooth ride. This is the kind of white knuckle driving that you commonly see, maybe exaggerated here, but where you see someone who's just really new to driving and learning how to find the balance. They're jerky, they're tense, and this leads to a lot of stress and overcorrection and just not a smooth ride. In fact, it can cause an accident. So compare that to a mature driver who is not so afraid of driving outside of the lane. It sounds kind of radical, actually, and don't tell the driver's ed teachers about this. But a mature driver doesn't worry that much if they step outside the lane a little bit. If they notice the car's drifting, he or she will not jerk the wheel back, but will ease the car slowly back into the lane. It's like, oh yeah, we're moving outward. Okay, I'm not just going to stop it. Okay, just slow it and slowly come back like that. In fact, the mature driver sees this as a normal part of driving. There's a natural weaving back and forth as the car moves along. It's not like we're on a railroad track where it's just the same all the time. There's an ebb and flow there. You go touch the edges, or sometimes you go over, or even within the lane, there's a little meandering that happens. Addictions can be treated with the same kind of maturity. Instead of reacting and saying, I don't ever want to overeat again, a more mature approach would look like, oh, I just ate too much. Really good to notice. Let me find my balance again. There's no shame in it, and there's no extreme measures taken, just a simple course correction. Okay, I'm going to eat a little less. I'm going to pay a little more attention. It's like, oh, more data for me in this path of refining how do I eat? How do I manage food in a way that is not extreme? But of course, this is easy to think about in theory. How do you do it in reality? What causes the reactivity and overcorrection is the mind's attachment to a belief. It may be something like this: it's not okay to be overweight. If you have this belief, it's not okay, on some level, some part of you is believing it, then the mind has to overcorrect. You have to. Because you're believing it's not okay. So my gosh, as soon as I see I'm getting overweight, it's like extreme measures have to be taken. The mind reacts out of fear as soon as it sees what is happening. But when this same thought is questioned and turned around, and you have to go through this experience yourself doing the work, I use the work of Byron Katie is what I mean here. But if you go through this process of really questioning and really looking on an experiential level at the opposites and the whole experience of questioning, then if you really go through that, your mind will start to see that the natural fluctuations in weight may not be such a bad thing. Like, it's not bad to be overweight. It's not terrible. The mind, you'll be having to look for examples. And if you do this in a really genuine way, giving yourself lots of time, you may start to feel like being outside of the lane is not as terrible a thing as the immature mind would make it out to be. So as a result, there are no extreme measures that need to be taken. It's just okay to be out of the lane and then moving gradually back towards balance. As long as you think being overweight is bad, you cannot be rational about moving back to balance. You have to be extreme. And that's what keeps the cycle of addiction going. Learn how to question your thoughts. Join me for the Work 101 course, which is a course in stress management through the process of questioning what you often even subconsciously believe. As you become more conscious, you become more mature. And in maturity comes balance. And I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie from her book, Loving What Is. Just a short little quote that I love. It's okay if I do smoke, I noticed, and it's okay if I don't.